Welcome to Front Office Pros. Today, we've got a fire sale fallout. There were 3 Dynasty trades that have happened since our most recent episode, and we're here to break it all down, plus a Week 6 recap. We were not kidding when we told you that a fire sale was imminent. There were 2 of our teams that came out and said, hey, everybody's available. And we ended up seeing a trade from each one of those teams, and then kind of I don't even want to describe the other one. We probably won't talk about it too much. It was more of a small fry type of trade, nothing too fancy. But we're going to talk about each trade, give our thoughts, and I am involved in 2 of the 3 trades, so I'll try to be quiet while Joe gives his thoughts, and then we'll give a Week 6 recap, see how things went around the league. All right, so the first trade that went down, and we talked about Adam. He was the first team that said, hey, all my players are up for sale. He ended up getting a trade done with Chris and Nolan. Chris and Nolan received running back Jaylen Warren. He has a 1-year, $0.3 million contract with $0 million guaranteed remaining. And then running back Kendre Miller on a 2-year deal, $3.8 million total, including $0 million guaranteed. Adam received running back James Conner, 1 year, $5 million. The contract is fully guaranteed. And Chris and Nolan are going to be absorbing an additional $4.5 million from Conner's contract. That's in the form of dead cap. And then Adam received a 2026 second-round pick. So, Joe, this trade, I did not see this one coming. What was your reaction to this trade here?
Yeah, I mean, I think the trade made sense. Jaylen Warren was the guy that we highlighted. Adam should possibly look to move, as it didn't really necessarily make sense for his team if he was looking to rebuild. And obviously, he was with putting these players up for a fire sale. But I think he got a good return. I know the James Conner piece was a more of a cap situation type of add-in. But the fact that he could get a 2026 second-round pick for Warren on an expiring contract here, and Kendre Miller is interesting. Not sure what his future outlook is. I think that's kind of tough, but he has obviously had some good games this year and getting some work in there. So I think Adam did pretty well in getting the compensation for those guys.
I agree. I like Adam's compensation here. I mean, I think you and I talked about maybe a 3rd or 4th for Jaylen Warren, and he was able to get a second, plus James Conner. Now with Conner, you are saving $5 million in cap space, pretty much, by having Adam take him on. I kind of like that for Adam. Here's why. After the end of the season, if Adam decides to re-sign James Conner, he has that opportunity. If he decides not to, he lets him walk, hit free agency, and some other team signs him, there's a possibility that Adam could possibly get a comp pick out of it. So to me, I like that James Conner was running the deal. I understand it's $5 million, but Adam had a lot of cap space to begin with. I think, honestly, it was a little rich on Chris and Nolan's side. I really do. But I think a part of the reason why they felt they needed to do that is because of the Conner injury. And they had a lot of hope for R.J. Harvey. Joe, as you could say from a Broncos standpoint, he's not been as much of a vocal point of the offense as I think many were expecting this year. So I can understand why they felt the need to get Warren. Kendre Miller is interesting. If Alvin Kamara was traded, then they probably made out. But that's a big if.
Yeah, we'll see if Kamara does get traded, but I agree. I mean, if Kamara does, it definitely increases Kendre Miller's stock and makes him a whole lot more interesting. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point too, with the fact of Adam acquiring James Conner. Either he could choose to resign him or earn a comp pick by letting him hit the market.
All right, so our next trade, this was the big one, Joe, and involving myself. So myself and Charlie did a trade. I received defensive end T.J. Watt on a 1-year, $4.9 million contract. It's fully guaranteed. And safety Nick Cross on the minimum, 1 year. Charlie received 2 first-round picks in 2027. Got Adam's first-round pick, which we talked about. Adam, is going to be, is trying to go on a fire sale. So you would think that pick will be pretty good. and then my 2027 first-round pick, Charlie did absorb an additional $6 million from Watt's contract. He would have been 10.9 had he not done that. What's your thoughts in here, Joe? I have to say, I want to hear what you I want to hear what you have to say is what I should say, because I'm kind of waffling a little bit.
Oh, waffling on if you made the right decision.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I think it was a good move for you. I think you had to do something like this. I mean, your team was kind of, you're kind of flirting on the edge of being a playoff team, but by having a guy like Baker Mayfield as your quarterback, I feel like your window is, really kind of closing depending on how long he's going to play and how long he's going to keep playing at this level. I feel like you had to maximize this season. Obviously, last year, Baker Mayfield was great. We weren't sure if he was going to be able to, sustain that, but once again, he's playing at an MVP type of level. So your defense was really lacking. Your defensive ends, were disappointing. You had expected more things out of that position group. So I think getting a game record like JJ Watt really just elevated your team and kind of puts you in that conversation to, one of the upper echelon teams.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it was fair value for Watt. I mean, maybe it was a little rich on my end, but getting safety Nick Cross also, he's not a throw-in in my mind. He's been fairly consistent at the safety position for at least the past year or so. I think my thing with Watt is, and maybe I'm a little bit, sometimes I kind of stick on something and I shouldn't. But Nick Herbig seems to be really blowing up right now. And you've got a rotation of him, Highsmith, and Watt. Watt's, he's not getting any younger. I just wonder, with the Steelers being 4-1, or 5-1, sorry, are they going to, or they had a bye. They're 4-1. I was right, yeah. So are they going to try to preserve TJ Watt? Is he not going to have as many snaps because they're going to try to rotate in more Herbig and Alex Highsmith? So, a guy who would be more in the 90s, 100% snaps, now maybe he's a little bit lower. Yes, he's impactful, but I don't know. That's my one concern I'm starting to have.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, and look, those other guys, Highsmith, Herbig are going to do well because they play opposite of TJ Watt as well. But I still think, even if there's limited snaps, I mean, I feel like he doesn't need that many snaps to just kind of wreck the game and get in there. Like when he goes for the quarterback, he goes for the ball too. He doesn't go for that sack. So he creates big plays. So I think he'll still be okay. And, Herbig and then Gabriel had some, back to their high school days, had some familiarity with each other. So I don't know if that brought that out of Herbig and he just wanted to have an extra great game. I guess he absolutely harassed him in Hawaii in high school, and it was kind of a flashback to that this past week as well.
Well, I mean, he's been on a tear this entire season, though.
Yeah, he's been very good.
All right, so our last trade involves me again, Joe, but this one's a small fry deal that we talked about. This was not due to the fire sale. This is a bye week situation that could use some help. So it was between myself and Josh. I received quarterback Joe Flacco, 1 year, $1.3 million, including $0.7 million guaranteed. I got a 2026 fifth-round pick. In return, Josh got running back Imani Vidal, 3 years, $2.9 million, including $0 million guaranteed. This is a situation where, for Josh, Marion Hampton, he went on IR. People were hoping he'd be back in 4 weeks. Or now rumors are saying, no, maybe it might be even longer than that. So really, outside Jahmyr Gibbs, he doesn't really have a solid second running back. So with Hampton going down, kind of left him in the lurch. So, for me, I picked up Vidal, outbid him on him, and he's like, hey, I really, need Vidal. And I can understand, right? Because we didn't know, was it Vidal, was it Haskins? It was very evidently Vidal, based on how he played against the Dolphins. On my side, I don't have I have Anthony Richardson as my only backup quarterback. He's not even starting. So I needed a bye week fill-in for Baker. Flacco's going out with the Bengals, and as long as he stays healthy, he'll be playing the Bears the week that Baker Mayfield's on a bye, which I think is a pretty decent matchup. And then I was able to get a fifth-round pick as well. I think this is a situation where it's just in a 16-team league, with our teams, our rosters as deep as they are, you're just going to see trades like these. Kind of more of a small fry. Nothing too crazy to talk about here, but I do think fair for both teams.
Yeah, definitely think it's fair. I mean, it obviously made sense for all parties there. I mean, he gets Vidal, he gets to a playable running back to help him out there, and you ultimately get the quarterback on a bye week fill-in that you also need.
Desperately.
So yeah, so I mean, both of you guys we're kind of desperate for the two different things. And kind of nice for you to be able to capitalize off of Vidal having that nice week against the Dolphins as well.
All right, so heading into our Week 6 recap, we'll start off with a heartbreaker for me. I was playing Charlie, who, you would think, now that TJ Watt's on my team, he would make an impact. He did. But he could have made, his cheat code type of impact. But nevertheless, I lose 328 to 381.85. Allows Charlie to get his first win on the year. And primarily the big reason why he won, and this is with IDP, you just never know. Things go up and down. But DJ Turner and Marcus Jones combined for over 90 points because of all the pass deflections they got, which was just unbelievable. But hey, what are you going to do? Sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles.
Yep, that is how the cookie crumbles. I mean, pretty surprising. 216 points from Charlie's defense. That's pretty crazy. And then again, he also 41 points out of Bryce Young, got decent performance there, which he really has been struggling to get that production out of the quarterback position. And interesting. It was our number 4 and number 5 ranked teams here in this matchup, and number 5 team and Charlie got his first win.
Yeah, that was disappointing. I'm still in the playoff hunt. I'm number 7, but I did not like getting a loss here. That was tough. Our next opponent here, the other fire sale team, Adam, he ended up winning this game pretty dominantly, 367.55 to Mark's 296.05. His offense had quite the day, almost 200 points for Adam. Part of me wonder. I mean, he didn't trade. The thing is, he didn't trade that much. With trading Warren and Kendre Miller.
Right.
So I wonder if this, does he maybe consider, keeping this thing going here? With Rashad White now in the backfield with Tony Pollard, he still has decent running backs to work with. I don't know. Should be interesting to see what Adam does here. Does he still try to press in to see if he can't do more selling, or is he gonna, possibly, try to toe the line here?
Yeah, it'll be interesting what Adam does. Obviously had a nice week. I mean, he was our power rank number 12 team to Mark's number 15. And kind of proved why. But that's the thing, like, I don't know, unless Adam starts really selling off more of these assets, specifically, more so on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, I think he's going to be competitive, pretty much every week here.
Our next opponent here, we got Paul versus Jason. Paul scored 346.75 to Jason's 291.25. Got to give credit to Paul when credit's due here. He's been probably one of the surprise teams of the year for me. He is sitting at 4-2. I think his defense is in pretty rough shape, but somehow, some way, they're piecing it together. Even though he doesn't have anybody dominant. I mean, there are times where some of his defenders are getting less than 5 points, but he's making it happen.
Yeah, he is making it happen, and he's definitely a surprise team, as we had him as the 13th ranked team in our league. Jason number 10, and Jason's ultimately now 2-4. For Paul, it is interesting. He's Jenner and Wosu had a decent game for him with 1.5 sacks on the defensive side of the ball, and like you said, he's piecing it together despite not having a lot of names out there.
Next opponent here, we got Josh versus Tim. Josh scored 310.6 compared to Tim's 206.7. This is an absolute this dominant performance. This is the problem with Tim's team. We talked about it. He just doesn't have a lot of depth and things he just fall off the rails, and it really did. It's really tough. A lot of his team is built on Josh Allen, and Bills played bad, and and Josh Allen did not play very well against the Falcons. Whereas Mahomes had a great game for Josh. not Josh Allen, but for Josh. I know it's confusing for Josh, the manager. But yeah, so interestingly, I mean, he didn't even crack 100 points on his offense.
Yeah, no, that's kind of crazy. But yeah, Josh Hedden was our number 6 team versus Tim, number 11. And, Tim's off to a disappointing start at 2-4. I mean, honestly, both of these teams now 2-4. Surprised with Josh. I think his team should be better and have a better record. We've talked about that. But yeah, for Tim, his team just really kind of goes the way Josh Allen and the Bills go.
Well, Josh's schedule coming up next few weeks he's got some pretty, not the most difficult matchups, I feel like. So I think his win
He's
total
got
might
my team
start
next
wrapping
week,
up.
so it'll be interesting.
Well, speaking of your team, Joe, you got your first win, and you had quite the dominant win, beating the Super Bowl champs from last year. Tom scored 200.7 to your 302.35. That had to feel pretty good, Joe.
Yeah, it was nice to get on the board with a win. I mean, as I mentioned, I don't have my first round pick, so definitely don't care to lose every game. I'm trying to set my best lineup, trying to pick up a W, and I finally did against our number 2 power rank team. And as everyone knows, I've been, power ranked as the last team, number 16. So 1-5, pretty good. I've, been competitive with teams, but nice to finally actually get a win on the season.
Yeah, no, that was incredible. I was very impressed by this dominant performance by you. Out of curiosity, for those who may be tuning in, maybe even from our league, have you had any inquiries for Bradley Chubb or Dallas Goedert?
Nope.
Wow, I am
Absolutely.
shocked.
Yeah, absolutely. Crickets out there in terms of our league. But that's all right. Goddard's been on an absolute tear, 36.5 points in our league this week. He's been, when he's out there, he's getting me 20 to 30 points a week. So if somebody's hurting at tight end, they could certainly use it more than me.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what Tom's going to do here because he scared Cooper Rush, got him negative 15.9 points. And he doesn't really have another quarterback. Burrow's out. Browning's now been benched. But it does sound like McCarthy's dealing with the ankle issues, so it does seem like he can probably roll with Wentz for a little bit longer. But it's like, if you're thinking that you're going to win, like, you probably got to figure something out. But I understand, too, because he's paying Burrow a lot of money. But then what do you do with all these other players? I don't know. Tom's going to be a very interesting team at the deadline, or as it gets close to the deadline, if he says, you know what, I got to bite the bullet and get a quarterback to stay competitive, or just say, you know what, I'm not going to make it this year. I'm going to load up on some picks and trade some players.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, he's now 2-4 on the year, so he is kind of at that tipping point. Evaluate the next couple of weeks. I mean, if he can't get to 500, maybe you start having those conversations on what to do or who to keep, or do you push all in and try to upgrade at the quarterback for the rest of the year?
All right, next we've got Aaron versus John. Very difficult matchup here. Two of the top teams in our league right now. Aaron lost. He had 295.25 to John's 317.15, and ultimately, Aaron's offense just did not do very well at all. It scored under 100 points. Even John's offense only was 120. Just was, typically these offenses are, they've got some pretty big names on these offenses, but it should be interesting, with Puka Nacua getting out, John's already pretty thin as receiver as it is. So I'll be curious to see if he decides to address that or not.
Yeah, and just a quick looks. I mean, I'm not sure who he's got on his bench, but gonna run into some bye week problems next week. I mean, he's starting Khalil Shakir and DeAndre Hopkins. Those two guys are on bye, plus Nacua being out. I mean, it's gonna be a rough thing for John's wide receiver crew next week. But our number 8 team beat the number 9 ranked power ranked team in our league this week with John over Aaron.
Man, John's got Jake next week, so that's a pretty difficult matchup. So I'll be curious to see what he does there, if he can overcome that. Our next opponent there, speaking of Jake, he played Chris and Nolan. Jake lost this game, 279.15 to Chris and Nolan's 326.3. Yeah, I mean, honestly, pretty tight across the way here. I think just a difference maker. Byron Young, man, he's been on an absolute tear this season. I think he's the best edge rusher in our league. He's going. He would have thought between Micah Parsons and Byron Young, who do you think is going to score more points? And it wasn't even close.
Yeah, honestly, Micah Parsons has been lackluster with the Green Bay Packers. Um, thus far, I mean, he really isn't getting the sack numbers you would think.
He's had 2.5 sacks, it
Okay,
says.
2.5, but I mean that's a far cry from where
Oh no,
he really
he
should
has
be.
not. Yeah, he's not been that defensive system in Green Bay is he's not doing well in it right now. Or
Yeah,
he may. I'm not saying he's not causing an impact. He's just not showing up in the box score. That's all.
yeah, which is not helping Jake. And honestly, Jake is our number one power rank team. He's currently 3-3. Chris and Nolan was ranked number 7, and they're sitting at 5-1, looking pretty good this year.
Very good. All right, our last matchup, boy, this was quite the nail biter. Andrew versus Dan, both undefeated teams. Andrew, Wandale, how long I keep this going? Well, Andrew, you're going to keep it going. 352.8 to 352.65. We're talking a 0.15 margin for the win. Only if Dan would have not played Joey Sly as his kicker, Joe, and ends up playing Moody on his bench, he ends up winning the game.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, and that's why, Steve, we pushed to eliminate kickers out of the league. League makes didn't want to do it, and thus cost Dan in this one. But yeah, just crazy, man. I mean, obviously, when we repower rank this thing, it's going to be a lot different. I mean, Andrew, we had a number 14, which he still does not let us forget. Dan was number 3, now 5-1. Just really, I just feel bad, Dan. I mean, whoever would have lost this matchup, I would have felt bad for just because it was that razor thin and just a crazy close matchup. And those ones really sting when you don't get on the good side of those.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know with Andrew. I give him credit, man. I thought that offense was gonna be thin, but he's done a really good job. I'll give him credit on this. He's done a really good job with some pickups and some signings that have really turned out for him. Rico Dowdle these past 2 weeks have been unbelievable. Kendrick Bourne is looking really good. He signed him. So those are guys who have helped him fill out his roster where I didn't really feel like he had like a starting lineup to really roll out with. So his team is actually, because of all the injuries that have taken place, he actually has options. I mean, he signed Kenneth Gainwell. He's looked decently well. You got a guy like Jack Bech. If Jacoby Myers gets traded, you could see more of Jack Bech. So it's like there could be some options here for Andrew. I think Andrew at this point is going to make the playoffs. The only person he's really going competing with right now for his division is Paul. So I think at this point, being 6-0, it's looking very good for him right now.
Yeah, being 6-0, I mean, he's got a huge advantage. It honestly, his team would absolutely have to implode, I think, for him to not make the playoffs. So yeah, I mean, I think he should definitely be gearing up his team with the mindset that he is making the playoffs. I know he was always thinking, how long can he ride this thing? How far can he make it? Well, hey, 6-0 looks like you're going to be a playoff team. So if he's going to make some moves that could really benefit, but I mean, honestly, his team's been doing pretty well and got this win, even with Braden Fisk getting him a big fat 0 on the
Well,
week.
Fisk hasn't been that good at all this year. I don't know what that's
Yeah.
about. I have to look into that more. I've been really surprised.
That is
his
surprising.
performance.
Yeah,
But I will say, I think he did a good job with trading for Daniel Jones. I think that was the right move on his part.
Yeah, absolutely, it was. Especially, I mean, we told him to do that, and then Kyler got hurt and didn't even start. So having Daniel Jones really, really helped him here.
So that does it for this episode. Went through our fire sale fallout, 3 dynasty trades that took place in our league. And if you're listening or tuning in or watching, however you're checking out this episode, and you're saying, man, that sounds pretty cool. Well, we could not advocate more for the dynasty salary and contract format. If you haven't done that format before, you got to try it. It's our favorite format. It just, the strategy is just, you kick it up a couple notches when you're playing a league like this. So if you have any interest in learning more about it and you want to be involved, or what that would even look like, feel free to reach out to us. Whether it be our personal X accounts or the Front Office Pros account, or feel free to leave a comment wherever you're tuning in. Happy to be able to support you however way we can. If you haven't done so already, check out our most recent episode. We went through our Week 7 trade targets. Joe and I provided one each for you to go out and get them. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time.